This is Eli Rachel. You are getting ready to listen to the final episode, Season 3, Loving Kindness Every Day. Rachel Tires and Wheels. We do tires, wheels, car audio. We repair wheels, repair tires, and for us wheels, we sell new, used. We repair chrome plate, powder coat, fix bends, curve rash, etc. And if you need a service, please come by. We'll take care of you.
Please come here to see us. 603 Memorial Drive, the corner of Boulevard and Memorial.
This is a family business. That was my mom talking to her.
So, just a reminder, this is not a kid's show. Put the babies to bed. All right? Welcome.
Welcome to Loving Kindness Every Day, where you will hear everyday language such as 4-letter, 5-letter, or words that your mother might call profanity. Please be advised.
On the floor? Yeah, leave it on the floor, damn it. Put it down. Right. Stop touching that stuff. It's not yours. You already kicked it. I've seen you in the watch. You said something cheeky out the side of your mouth. I asked you what you said, and then you kicked my Bible. No, I didn't kick your Bible. So it's all right. Leave it right there. Now, hang on. Hang tight now.
Well, before we go back to the whole Jesus loves the gays thing, I want to introduce you to someone. Jessica Marshall Emberly. Jessica and I met at 6 Feet Under at the bar in Grant Park. Shout out to Demetrius. I was having a drink there with a friend of mine when Jessica sat next to me. Jessica.
Okay. It really does, because here you are next to me. Like I said, we're sitting in the same seat. I know you don't remember, but you were sitting here, and I'm sitting there.
I'm in here a lot.
And this is the last time I was here. That's how I can remember. I haven't been here since I've seen you last.
I've been here since 2 days ago.
Since 2 days ago.
This is my regular spot.
I know y'all like it. I know y'all like it here. I know y'all do.
We got to talking, and before I knew it, just this like flame-throwing goddess was sitting across from me in her studio telling me all about her incredible journey. Jessica is a fire artist and also the mastermind behind the Flaming Carousel. Jessica pulled talent from all across the country, even here in Atlanta, to create a nostalgic work of art that's like none other. It's second to none, and literally the carousel of your youth on fire, with flame rolling over your head while you're seated on art. Each one of these seats or creatures is an amazing twist between what's real and what's fantasy, all with backstories, and it's something I could talk all day about and enjoy the experience, the Flaming Carousel. But that's not what today is about. I'm just here chilling in Jessica's studio. This episode was recorded quite a while ago, with Jessica vibing, getting to know who Jessica the artist is, Jessica the person, Jessica the incredible human being behind the scenes. So, without further ado, here's what happened that day.
It's warm. I know I'm recording, but I'm putting the windows down. I apologize for the audio. But I feel it really. We're in the car. We're going. You're here with me. We're in the car. We're going to go talk to Jessica Marshall. Well, should I say, I'm leaving my Lumen apartment building, which I think I should just call it like lesbian Lumen. This is like the gayest place to live, like in this part of Atlanta. The amount of lesbians that live just on my hallway alone, just on my floor, like alone, is just amazing. Anyway, I met Jessica last week while I was hanging out with.
Does not matter.
I like sitting and eating at bars because I feel like you really do like this is like where you catch most conversations. Like this is where like, and I don't mean it in that way like I'm going to catch a conversation, but it's like a lot of times like you know like if you're bored, it's like you like. I met this beautiful guy named but I met him because he says, oh, I could have like just drank beer at home, but I decided I'm gonna come out and like treat myself, and I'm gonna like sit here and have like something to eat, and maybe I'll talk to somebody or whatever. It's like you catch a conversation, like you go out, I suppose Atlanta food hall style. You might find somebody to talk to. I mean, maybe not. Maybe you don't feel like it, and that's cool. But like, you know, it's always a possibility, and that's nice. You know, you want to open yourself up to the doors of the possibilities anyway. I'm driving on the street that reminds me of Anya, the Uber driver who dropped me off over here on Robinson Street, where one of my friends lives, and she told me about her son, Alex. I bet you on your last trip.
Because somebody scammed me.
Oh, no.
You know?
That money's back. That we're manifesting as well. Are you ready?
Yes.
Anya, your money's back. It's done.
Thank you.
Your money's back is done in Jesus' name. It's done. Do you agree?
Yes.
When two or more agree on a thing, it's done. So every time you think of it, keep saying it's done. My money's back. 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 Say it. Don't say anything else.
Your podcast.
My podcast is called Loving Kindness Every Day. And you're gonna listen to it tonight, and you're gonna fall asleep to it, and you're gonna know that Alexander's coming home, and he's gonna come home healed and complete and exactly as you see him. You're gonna know that, okay? One of my friends lives, and she told me about her son, Alex. I shouldn't say son though, because she told me he's transgender and that like used female pronouns multiple times, and then said she, and then it was confusing the conversation a little bit. I'm not sure, but you know what? I think that Alex, whoever Alex is, and whatever your gender expression is, I think you're beautiful, and I want you to know that. Anyway, I meet Jessica at the bar. She starts talking to me. Excuse me, they start talking to me. I asked Jessica their pronouns. They said they, and then like sometimes she, I suppose. So I use they. I want to talk to Jessica because Jessica told me that they're non-binary and non-monogamous. I love it really, to be honest. It's kind of like super cool. I want to learn about it. I don't know, can I do the whole like you live with me thing again? I don't know, can I do the monogamy? I don't think monogamy is like realistic for me. I think I just have to be honest, like, with everything about it. So, there's that. We'll see what happens anyway. I'm here for the journey.
Continue on US 23 South for 1 mile.
And we are driving by these Starlight Drive-In theaters. Let's go. All right, here's like my full disclosure of like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm following these directions aimlessly. I did not bring a weapon, and I hope that Jessica does not chop me into pieces. And I'm sure she won't. They won't, excuse me. I'm sure they won't chop me into pieces. I felt comfortable about it. I felt like, nah, I'm not gonna die today. This doesn't feel like the day I die.
Turn right onto Fayetteville Road Southeast. You will arrive at your destination.
Slow down, says the sign. It doesn't even know how fast I'm going. Talk about slow down. You don't even know how quickly I'm going. I'm going 16 miles an hour. So there's like a lot of construction and like asphalt and like stuff back here. And I know Jessica told me that they do like big art. So I think they're gonna have some massive piece of art on my property when I build my own Calloway gardens.
I got a studio made in there too.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love you.
What?
Whoa, that's wild.
What?
You're gonna see this. You're gonna hear this.
What's
You're
that?
gonna hear this.
What's that?
Okay.
Oh, hey.
You're gonna. Okay, wow. Because you're wearing a Calloway Gardens shirt,
Oh, yeah.
and I literally was just kind of like, I don't usually do this, but
Yeah.
I started kind of thinking my thoughts out loud as I was driving and recording, and one of the things that I said, like not even 5 minutes. I'm sorry about all the noise that was happening while I was driving and when I got out of the car. I know it's not ideal. Here we go. I was kind of talking about you and like
howdy.
what you do.
We're doing
Hey
a-
there. Hey,
doing
how
a
are you?
Little talk.
Doing a little talk. How are you? I was like talking about you and what you do, and that you do like really big art.
Yeah.
And no word of a lie, what I said was, I said, Jessica, they're gonna like make me something big, like for my own Calloway Gardens when I build it.
Yeah.
I literally said that as I was driving in, and so when you meet me with the shirt that says Calloway Gardens, I'm like, wow, you actually kind of blow me away.
Well, it's interesting because I almost didn't. I was going to wear a different shirt today and something at the last minute. I'm like, nah, I'm going to use that one because I might get paint on it, and this one I don't care as much for.
Yeah,
So.
'cause that's my last name.
Yeah. Oh.
I suppose we should talk about like how we got here. Because it was crazy. I was talking about you when I was driving here. I told you I
Sitting
don't
next to
usually
each
do
other in
this.
a bar, and
That one.
I overheard you talking about something, and I had to say something. And I'm kind of an introvert. I'm generally a rather introverted person too, but some reason 6 feet under, I'm just like super comfortable there, and it's got such a friendly vibe to it, and some part of it. And you know, this is what we used to do. We used to sit next to a bar, somebody, nobody had phones. You talked to each other, you know. So
there you go.
It was, and I heard you saying something. I thought maybe I can offer a little, you know.
I'll tell you
in
what.
regards to that conversation, because it's an unusual thing talking about, you know, not non-monogamous relationships, polyamorous relationships, and that was it's a long conversation. And way back in the 90s, I was part of a group called. I'm jumping. Okay.
No, do
Jessica,
it. Do it.
sure.
Do it.
I was
do it.
with this group called Byways. It was a bisexual support group back in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
And it was right after I had transitioned and you know been through surgery and everything like that. It was just an amazingly open group of people, and we were exploring all of the, you know, it wasn't called LGBTQ that back then. It was you know. Lesbian, gay,
right,
and bisexual was people who hadn't figured out their minds yet. You know,
they wanted to do
all of that stuff, and then of course polyamory got involved, and also leather. You know, the leather got involved. We were just exploring everything. We were in our 20s, a bunch of hot people. It was awesome.
I love that.
So we, you know, had a lot of conversations about what it means to be polyamorous and how to, you know, have good, honest relationships about that. It's not just because you're polyamorous doesn't mean you want to sleep with everybody. You know, there's still primary relationships and tertiary relationships, and maybe there's triads, and having those conversations in the 90s, you know, back before there was a whole lot of internet, it was hard to find information on that. So when I hear people talking about it, I still feel like I'm kind of an activist in some way for that, you know, in the midst of everything else. So if I felt like I had something to offer that wasn't being intrusive, so I said, okay, I'm gonna step in and maybe throw a few words out there, because I know that a lot of people are exploring that. And for all of the information that's on the internet, it doesn't mean that you actually find the truth. You know, it's not, there's so much information out there that it's easy to just get lost or get caught up in what you're looking for. It's not like you get presented with a lot of information that isn't in your normal wheelhouse. You have to go looking. Whereas the old sitting next to somebody in a bar, there's no, I didn't search on that. Having a conversation.
It just
Just happened. It's just having a conversation. So,
yeah, you know, I was sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'll go back a little further. Jessica Marshall Eberly. I got 3 names.
There we go.
That is my full legal name. Jessica Marshall is what I use for art. So a lot of people in the art community only know me as Jessica Marshall, and then I used Eberly for my, you know, that's my official last name on my ID.
Gotcha.
My corporate world stuff, everybody knew me as Jessica Eberly. So I kind of kept it separate that way.
I like that.
So I could keep my art separate from my professional life. And my Facebook is Jessica Marshall, because I want to keep a hard line between social media and the corporate world. You can't find me. You can't find Jessica Eberly on
social media.
And I actually originally started using Jessica Marshall. Marshall has always been my middle name. And I went on the Phil Donahue Show way back early 90s, right when I first came out and started transition. And it was really interesting story of how I got there. But when I went, my mom was a teacher in Southwest Florida, so she didn't want me to use my real name because it was still very taboo, and a lot of people knew what transgender was and all of that thing. And she was afraid, being a middle school teacher, that she was going to have problems. Probably a little bit overblown. So I used Jessica Marshall, and when I was in the hotel in New York, waiting for them to take me to the show, and I heard, Jessica Marshall, your car is ready. Jessica Marshall, your car is here. I'm like, you know what? I like the sound of that. So then I just started using that for everything where I wanted to, fully express myself, and that became a big part of art. And then I think it's just got a nice flow, Jessica Marshall, you know.
It does sound nice.
Yeah.
I do like it.
Yeah. Anyway, it was all kinds of stories mixed in together.
Well, would you mind I love that. Would you mind telling me, because it was a crazy story how you got on the Phil Donahue Show.
Yeah.
Would you mind telling me that one, like?
The therapist that I was seeing, I mean, it was hard to find a therapist first of all that knew anything about it. You know, I didn't know exactly what I was. I'd never really heard of transgendered. It was it wasn't something that most people had ever heard about. There were jokes about, somebody's father going to Switzerland and coming back, their mother, that kind of thing. It was always that kind of silly joke sort of thing. So I didn't know anything about it, but I knew that I was not identifying with my body, and I was not identifying with trying to be that male role. I tried everything. I played football in high school and wrestling, and I was in a fraternity in college, and had all kinds of sex, and was trying to figure out, be a man. Anyway, so I was having a lot of problems mentally. Finally got out of college, and I was living alone for the first time. And then so I'm like, oh, I can just be myself all the time. And then when I didn't have any outside influence, then I'm like, okay, I got to do something about this. So I went to the local gay and lesbian community center and talked with a therapist there who did pro bono, and had to. So they went on a search to try to find somebody who knew something about transgender, therapy, and they put me in touch with this doctor who was actually Dr. William Granzig. He was he was president of the National Board of Clinical Sex Therapists at the time. Strangely enough, weird coincidence, and the Phil Donahue Show sometimes would call him and ask him if he had any ideas, and so he asked me if I was interested, and I was like, I'm not very egocentric. I wasn't like, I want everybody to know my name or anything, but I thought I had a compelling story to tell, and it was so hard for me to find out all this information about it. I thought I could go on TV and point people in that direction, say, hey, by the way, this isn't crazy, I'm not a drag queen, it's not that, it's something completely different. So I had that chance because I ran into this therapist. So that's how I wound up on TV. And then afterwards, they wanted me to do the circuit. Jenny Jones was calling, and I'm like, nope, I'm done. Had 15 minutes, that was it. 15 minutes of fame. I'm done. It wasn't about that. There was also the AIDS epidemic was in full swing, and there were only a few television channels on TV. So, one thing that they shouldn't have done is they handed me the numbers for how many people watched the show just before I went on. Probably shouldn't have done that. It's like 35 million people are watching me. I'm like,
here, be scared right now.
Yeah. So I got, but that meant that afterwards, I was like walking down the street. People knew me.
Did you build that? Side note, sorry. Did you build that? Is that yours?
Yeah, that's our skee ball machine. That's our flaming skee ball.
Oh, you're gonna build me one of those.
No.
This whole time that's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
No.
It's in my friend's one of the guys I work with, Scott Dupree. He's in another studio over here, so that's in his studio right now. In pieces. It's not together right now, but it's in pieces. But it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, we're going back. I got distracted.
It's okay.
I have like the thing where I get
okay.
distracted.
So do I.
No, listen. You just blew me away. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So yeah, it was like 15 minutes of fame. People wanted to meet me. It was strange. I worked at the Hard Rock Cafe in Orlando at the time, and people wanted to have their picture taken. It was really weird. It was really strange. And it was back before social media and everything like that, so this sort of thing was unusual. So
I have about like 1,000.
Anyway, yeah, I just that was like 4 stories that just sort of mixed in together.
No, like honestly, like it's beautiful because it's brought up so much in me. I have to be honest with you. A few things you've said. One was that the reason that you spoke out and you spoke to me originally was because of a sort of like a compulsion inside of you to like be that advocate, which is honestly what I need even in this moment right now. Yeah. So it's I don't believe also in coincidences. Yeah. I use this word random, but every time I do like this with my fingers, like it's like a fake it's like a fake word that I'm like, yeah, I really like randomly met Jessica while I'm literally in this moment of like, because like you don't know the conversation that I've been having. Obviously, like it's like when I walk in today and I see your shirt. Oh, and that's why I was like, I'm blown away. You're just like, this is just a shirt I put on. This is what I got going on, whatever. But it's like, for me, it was wild because it was just like I had just spoken about that, right? And it's almost like a foreshadowing for this conversation that we're having like right now.
And I was totally going to wear a different shirt.
I love that. Like I was
and then at the last minute, I like switched and I go, oh yeah, I really like that Callaway one. I'm like, it doesn't, it was interesting.
So as like I've had this moment right now, right? So I'll be honest with you, like there's a few things that you said, and even a conversation, like the most recent conversation that I've had that I recorded with another person who like, I was kind of free, and I want to be honest with you that
the most recent conversation I had with that person who also identifies as non-binary and uses all pronouns, and we kind of had this conversation very recently, like I think maybe not even 48 hours ago.
Oh, wow.
And I was really like driving home this point of not changing your body, and I'm gonna say it, and it's okay if you don't answer my question or whatever, but this is where I'm at, is the things that I was saying. I was like, I've never met anybody who has turned their penis into a vagina as having regular and frequent successful orgasms.
Oh.
And that's been my thing.
Oh.
And so then I was like, they were like, well, I've heard of people, I'm sure they're out there, and I'm like, my only exposure is like jazz and jazz is vagina, and I felt some kind of way about that. We had a conversation about that. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. There was like a TV show that was out. It was about a young transgender girl. I don't know. Do you know? If,
No.
I watched it for a while, and I kind of didn't like as a parent, I kind of didn't like the amount of conversations we were having about a 12-year-old's vagina. It just didn't feel right.
Oh.
For me, that's where I was at. And it felt weird, and it was like a lot of like, as soon as you get your vagina, you'll be better. And then now we see Jazz, and Jazz looks like not well. And so I felt like, I'm just being honest, like I felt like this isn't maybe the best thing. And so then I don't believe in coincidences. Then now I get here and I have this conversation with you where I literally told the other person the other day, I was like, I'm willing to sit down and talk to anybody to change my mind, and maybe you can, and I don't know, maybe you feel the same way. I don't know.
I
throwing it out there.
No, I had 3 goals after surgery. Sex with men, sex with women, and sex with myself. Not necessarily in that order.
Okay, all right.
And my first experiences were amazing. No orgasms like I have never had in my life before, and it didn't even end. I mean, I could just go, and it didn't, it wasn't like it was completely different. It was completely different, and it just could continue. Yeah. Absolutely.
Is there a butt for that?
What's that?
Is there a butt? Does there come a butt after that?
But
because you're like, my first experiences were like
no.
this.
No, I've had crazy awesome sex for years. Yeah, I got around a lot after that for sure. I was also 6 feet tall, 26 years old. Very thin, very pretty. I had
sexy.
And I didn't have any hang-ups about being promiscuous.
Yeah. Why should you?
Because I didn't grow up with that being something bad. I grew up.
Yeah.
Oh, you get around. Oh, that's good because you're a boy. So
of course.
So I didn't have that problem, and so I explored everything. Definitely as I've gotten older, it's been much more infrequent. Now it's more, friends with benefits. Don't tend to date that much anymore. I'm busy. I got stuff to do. But I've got some friends that that the moment hits us, and it's not a big deal.
That's hilarious.
So, no, the sex is it's been great.
So the universe telling me I'm wrong, basically, right? I love that because I love that for me. It's not so much about the anatomy. It's much more about the mental state, especially usually. I mean, that's it's not like every guy you just stroke and they're going to have an orgasm. There has to be there's something else that needs to be going on. Definitely true with women. So are you finding those right things that are stimulating you, or if you thought it was just going to be the body change, and are you excited enough with that body change for it to? I mean, that was been my experience, and I don't know, maybe Okay, so this goes. I love this because.
But it's all clitoral. It's all very much not about the penetration as much. It's about, and maybe that has to do with the surgeon and the way they did it. I can get into some specific details about this, but
yeah,
they took the head of the penis and they used that to create the clitoris. Yeah, so that makes it very sensitive, very highly sensitive. It's the same nerves, that would normally be in. So But it's not like I just rub and get off, though. I've got to have the right mindset. I got to be in the right situation. That's part of what drew me into S&M, because that turned me on like crazy. Whips and chains excite me for sure.
Oh, this is hilarious. I love you.
Screw the roses, send me the thorns.
That's okay. Wow. Okay. So this goes to my bigger
for me it was
conversation.
all mental. Really.
Okay, so this goes into a bigger conversation.
Yeah.
That
do you want anything to drink?
No, don't mind.
Okay, I'm gonna grab a Gatorade.
Yeah.
I am thirsty.
Parched, yeah, for sure.
Gatorade, water, Pellegrino. There we go. Have fun.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is another thing I said while I told you it's a little bit different for me. I've only done this twice, where I've thought about my thoughts as I was driving and I recorded them. And this was the second time when I mentioned the Calloway Gardens thing. Another thing I talked about was myself and my feelings about my relationships, which is one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, and I was so excited to talk to you in the first place when I met you at the bar. Because you obviously overheard the conversation that we were having where we were talking about polyamory and about non-monogamy. And so I'm preparing myself in my mind, thinking like, okay, you know what? I know I'm going to talk to Jessica. I know I'm going to talk about this like non-monogamy thing. And I'm also at the same time really intentional type of a person where I feel like if I create in my mind the desire that I have for what I want, I'll have it.
Oh,
and
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I find it funny that I end up here.
Doesn't always happen the way you want. But so, eventually. Sorry.
That one. So
Didn't expect to get here exactly like this.
Not like that at all.
But I'm here.
That's the one. So I think to myself, well, maybe I should just like never live with anyone. Maybe I should do this like non-monogamy thing. And here I am sort of like thinking about that as I was driving here. And I was kind of talking it out loud with my thoughts.
Yeah.
And then I started talking about the sex thing. So this comes full circle because you were talking about it's not just penetrative. It's like, you get the thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And so I went straight into that. It was a big build-up to get into that, right? And so I think to myself,
much
okay,
like
well,
exactly.
Anyway. Precisely. No, but for real. So then I think, Jessica, I'm like, well, I'm just giving out free orgasms because I'm also into like SM, and so it's like, well, if we're not going to be like on the same like, I'm like, listen, I'm into BDSM, and if we're not already going to be like that, like for me, it's like usually like a relationship, or it's like definitely a big time conversation, which is still a relationship. Either way, you're still in some sort of a relationship.
Yeah. But those are definitely very different relationships if you're talking master slave and
the whole. I mean, it depends on what you got going on in your specific dynamic.
Right.
But either way, it's still a relationship. It's still a conversation.
Absolutely.
It's still a big setup.
Absolutely.
It's still not going to be a one-night stand type thing,
No.
usually.
That even usually has to be more conversation. There's very specific things. What are you into? What are you not into?
Exactly.
What is okay? What guys think that's
Precisely.
huge,
Exactly.
range. But you got to be honest. Got to talk about it.
Exactly. Right? And so then, in the lesbian world, that then becomes a relationship. Because that's how lesbians roll.
Oh yeah.
Like we're not gonna have all these conversations and then you leave forever. Would you ever fuck off? Like that's not gonna happen. Like for me, it's never happened. But then also, hey, I'm willing to then turn around and have a conversation with somebody tomorrow who's like, no, I'm doing that all the time and it's working. And so I'm like, hey, rub that success on me. I'll take it. I'll take that as well. The advice that you thought that you needed to give me at the bar was correct. So I need that advice. Okay, so here we are. As a big, to say, like, how do you go about it? What are you doing? How are you navigating it? Are you happy? What are things to avoid? Pitfalls, potential, hey, I did that. I've been doing this for 20 years or however, since the 90s. Like, don't do that. That's a bad idea.
Right. Yeah, you have to have ground rules. You've got to be open if you have primary. What?
So what is that? How does that work?
There's a huge range of things here.
Can we just go like, I am ignorant, educated. I'm ignorant and I want to know. And you can see from my I tried to give you a little bit of a glimmer into my personal window as to understanding of like why I want to know. But I'm eager to take in all of the knowledge that you were willing to throw on the sponge.
Well, part of I mean, it took me a while to get past the. You've got to be confident in yourself. That was one of the things I was saying. You can't because it's jealousy is usually about your own self-doubt. You're feeling it's not that am I not good enough? And you're putting yourself around the situation. So that's like the first step, is just being confident about yourself and realizing that somebody else's relationship with somebody else isn't about you at all. Now, one of the things the reason I think that non-monogamy and polyamory, well, seems better. I know some people seems to work out for them, but things happen. You meet people, sparks occur. But if you put this barrier around it and start to make it taboo, then it starts to be this really uncomfortable dynamic. I've had a couple of relationships where we were open and never did anything about it.
Whoa. Oh, wow. Interesting.
You know, it was always out there. So when somebody met somebody, they could flirt with them. They could do anything, and it didn't become this taboo that builds up into this, this sort of pattern of cheating, which can be very exciting and I
don't think about the pink elephant.
Right, yeah, and I definitely was involved in some of that when I was younger. I was the other woman a couple of times, and learned that it just is better if everybody knows everything that's going on.
Can I ask you really quickly?
Yeah, it keeps the drama down.
Can I ask you about that,
about
the open relationship?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said, I know you were in multiple open relationships where you did nothing, right?
Yeah.
What did it look like, for example, if your partner is out and they end up flirting? Do they tell you? Do you have to tell? Is it, these type of...
Well, that's a lot of the ground rules that you kind of set up. It's like, well, is it okay if I hook up with somebody and tell you after? And usually we're along the lines tend to be like, I understand that happens sometimes, but let's take a second. If you're interested in somebody, let me know, so it's not a surprise. Then it doesn't feel like it's
what does that look
cheating.
like? 'Cause that feels hard. That's the one. It hits me right here in my chest. When you talk about just that one. How does that look? Okay, so what I mean is like
somebody's interested in somebody else.
So both ways for me.
Yeah,
so for me, it sounds like I have to stop and check in, and almost like this weird sort of like guilty thing. Am I gonna hey babe, I just am gonna have sex? What is this, a text message? How does this look practically? I'm like a show me how to drive person. You can't just explain it to me on paper.
Right. Well, I suppose, like I said, it would depend on the situation. Would prefer for you to tell me about it beforehand, but if something does happen, just let me know.
So if you prefer to be told beforehand, say I'm the person who
but that's me. I've known other people who they just have an open relationship and they don't have to tell their primary partner. That was just me. I like to know because that helped me personally. But I've also known other people who don't talk about it. I was involved with a couple in. And this is an interesting one. I was involved in this couple when I was living in Japan, and he was also married to somebody else back in the United States, and we had that little bit of conversation. He's like, "No, I don't need to tell her about you." We just fooled around. It's not like a relationship or anything.
Got it.
But it depends. You have to figure out what you're comfortable with. It's not a complete set of rules. Just like anything, there's give and flow. Just like in S&M, not everybody is comfortable with everything.
Right.
So you have to discuss it. How hard do you want it? Are you okay with nipple flex? Whatever.
Yeah.
You've got to discuss that beforehand, or at least have honest. I mean, it's just about really being
conversations.
Honest. Being honest. What are you good for? Keeping. I mean, just like anything, any relationship is about. Any good relationship is about communication, and so it's not it's not a set rule where you always have to. That was just what worked for me. That worked for me. So I was with one girlfriend one time, and she was like, this guy I'm kind of interested in. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so we all went out to dinner. And I'm like, okay, see you guys later. I went home, and they went off together.
How did you feel?
She wanted me to meet him. I felt fine. I felt completely fine. It was and obviously in that kind of relationship, she was getting something from him.
Right.
I don't have the anatomy anymore.
Yeah, I got you. Interesting. Oh,
so it really depends. I mean, it's maturity, communication, and it's a continual process. It's not like it's always this stuff comes up in any relationship, right?
Did you ever feel jealous?
When I was younger, I was really jealous. I would get very jealous. Absolutely.
How did you deal with that?
Oh, badly.
I love that you're like
I'd be
me.
jealous
Like,
and get
badly.
angry and
doing
just
all the-
mistrusting but I wasn't comfortable with myself. That was also pre-transition. I was not comfortable with myself. I had all kinds of doubts about who I am and this person I'm supposed to be, and obviously nobody likes this person I'm supposed to be. If you're interested in somebody else, something wrong with me. And so there was a whole lot going on, you know. But, and I became much less jealous after I went through transition, for sure. I was much more confident in who I was.
Can you tell me why you feel that way? Can you tell me why you feel that maybe a 8-year-old or a 10-year-old should be allowed, I guess we use those words, to transition as opposed to making them wait until they're 18?
Good question. I believe there is nothing that is allowed before you're 18 that is not reversible. That's a very important point. So
Yeah,
you're
it
not
is.
going to have, you know, gender reassignment surgery at 15 or something like that. That would be nuts. I think about, oh man, I made
that's just
horrible.
what the vagina
Yeah, when I was young, man, I mean, you know, and you can be all over the place. You're still trying to figure out who you are. You know, you should be allowed to experiment. I mean, I didn't even know what it was, but I still felt that way. You know what I mean?
Will you tell me about that? Will you tell me about
Yeah.
about that?
No, I was always identifying and wishing I was doing what the girls were doing every step of them, you know, cross-dressed in private, had no idea why, didn't know what it meant. I had that feeling, and it was always there, and I had no frame of reference. So that's when people are like, oh, well, they're being taught about it, and that's why it's happening. No, it happens without any outside influence. In a complete void, it still happens. But there is, you know, when it does come out, and now it is much more of a common occurrence in discussion, then yeah, of course there's going to be kids who want to be like other kids or are trying to be different. You know, there was goth kids when I was, you know, people always trying to, you know, push the envelope, but you should be allowed to explore it. You should be allowed to explore it, and yeah, I think I still say you have to be 18 for anything permanent. You've got to go down those roads. But I wasn't allowed to have. I wasn't even allowed to. They didn't even allow me to have hormones until I was living full time for 6 months, at the age of 23. And that was hard. That was pretty difficult. So the rules were very specific. There was a thing, the Harry Benjamin Foundation International Standards of Care, and you had to live full time for a couple of years before a therapist would approve. I mean, it's not like it's just given out. There is psychological testing. There's a whole lot of medical stuff, and I'm gonna leave it to the medical experts. And they say it's helpful. It's helpful, and puberty blockers, you know, definitely can help keep things, you know. Yeah, I totally would have done that if I had that option when I was young, for sure. You know, and then maybe that will help with the whole trans athlete thing, you know. Just saying.
Whoa, I can't get
It's another
into
part
okay.
about being an athlete, being
Whoa.
trans. It's always in the back of my mind.
Whoa. Do you want to do that? I can do that. That's gonna
strangely
be hard.
enough,
That's gonna be a hard one to do.
Strangely enough, the
I don't know. Can you change my opinion about that one?
well, the Atlanta Track Club. There it goes. Okay, the Atlanta Track Club. So the events that they hold, like the Peachtree and the Publix Half and all of those, have non-binary categories.
Okay, so that's
I have,
lovely.
Yes, so I've been able to compete in a non-binary category. But at this point in my life, having had no testosterone in my system for 30 years, I don't have an advantage. I have a disadvantage.
Fair enough. I
Yeah.
hear that. Okay, but I hear that point.
In the 1 to 2 year, science is still pretty complicated and not completely out of that. But at some point, are you going to be like, oh, well, all women have to be 5'8", and they have to be this weight, and they can't have, their arms can't be too long. I mean, at some point, you're trying to set, you can't genericize what a woman is for the sport. You know, it's a slippery slope.
I mean,
estrogen and testosterone do a lot.
I just think that, and again, I will, I should qualify this.
Yeah.
And I say that I don't have a TV at home.
try to stay away from the news as much as I can.
Okay.
I try to just keep myself pure.
There's too much
from all of the unrighteousness.
I look at too much information.
I do. But I will say that I did pick up on a story a couple of years ago that I didn't think was right, and I did form an opinion based on that. And so I gave it to you how it was. Sure. And the story I heard was basically there was a young male athlete who was like a swimmer, and he wasn't doing very well, in like
middle of the
pack category, and then came out, transitioned, is like killing it, taking all of the trophies home. And
not taking all the trophies, took a few.
Okay. And
that's one of those things. Did not take all.
Did not take all the trophies.
Took a few
trophies. Okay.
Other women were still beating this person.
Still losing. Okay. I guess I think because we went from middle of the pack to somebody worth talking about.
Yeah.
There's an argument that could be said that people are doing it for attention or for there's a certain section of people that feel like doing things on this earth is like worthwhile enough to like do bad things to other people, but like I have to admit that they're there. You see them. You see these people who are like, I'm gonna shit on this other person so I can be famous or whatever. Right. You see that. So
nobody would go through that voluntarily just to do better in a sport. That's
okay. So
nuts.
I would
that's
like.
Crazy.
So okay. So then if you can say that to me, can you honestly tell me, because you say it.
Yeah.
And dare I say, I want to believe you because I feel like you know something that I don't know. Because
why would anybody voluntarily
Can you talk us through what is
go through the persecution and the complexities of life to win a sport? Why would the rest of you want the rest of your life to be miserable? People give me problems about bathroom, going through the discussions with your parents. Who would do that just to win at a sport? It just doesn't make any sense. Start taking estrogen, sexual parts don't work anymore when you're on estrogen, once the testosterone is blocked, but that stuff doesn't work anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a massive step, and you just happen to be an athlete. You wouldn't do it. That's the thing that those jokes are always, it just doesn't, it's like, you don't really know what it's like to be transgender. It's not that easy. It's not like, oh, okay, I'm going to be a woman, and now I'm going to compete in women's sports.
Because that's the way it's painted. But that's the way it's painted.
I will also say, if you took it the other way, nobody talks about that.
So, okay, what does that mean? Because you do fist with your fingers because people can't say that.
Women who take testosterone and start competing in men's sports.
Because that's not going to be.
It happens.
Yeah, but I don't think.
100% happens.
Yeah.
Nobody complains about it.
No one complains about it because they know that there's no real advantage. Because when you're competing against men, you're not gonna. Like, if we see you on the even a fourth place, it's like you did great.
Why?
Because it's like. I mean, unless you have a sport that's like very skilled, like skill based instead of like just pure muscle. I just think of muscle sports.
Yeah, and you have to.
You're not gonna
definitely coordinate that because there are, female runners who, and then who's better than some women are better than most men at some sports, and so
fair enough, right? Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
The gender-based sports thing is rather complicated, and I understand that there's something that testosterone definitely does to the body that. In general, creates a certain set of circumstances, but what does it take to reverse it? Is it just taking estrogen for a year? Is it taking estrogen for 3 years? Is that enough to change that? Then the cardiovascular system, if you grew up and you went through puberty, do you have an improved? But it's not every man,
Well, what do you mean?
It's really complicated.
Well, because you're mentioning some things.
Complicated.
You're mentioning some things that
science is out. That's my basic thing. I think there just should be a third category. Make it easy.
I love that personally. I never thought about that. I love that, and I can see it now. But also, I think that I think that a lot of people have been polarized against the transgender community due to the sport thing, and also due to the fact that. Practically, they didn't understand what you're explaining to me just right now. I will tell you, I read this. I think it was a book or a story or like a documentary or something. But it was. I know it was a true story. It was about like these men in prison in like the 1970s, and they talked about this person who had
basically they wanted to transition so badly that they ended up like just mutilating themselves and actually just chopping off like their own penis. And I thought to myself at that time, it really changed my opinion about everything, because I was like, there's no way that like if you're in prison, because it's like you talked about the outside factors right earlier. It's like you're in prison. You're in a man's prison where like that's not anything easy for you to do. That. Like, why would you do that? Except for the fact that you wanted it so badly that it was either this or die. And so I think about that when you talk. I think about that when you talk to me about even like how you said the sports. I love the way you said it, because you're like, why would you go through all of that to win a trophy? And then also like you're still not really killing it, because we don't have any examples of anybody who's coming over and like really killing it.
No, that's the other part of it. It's not happening.
It's, dare I say, propaganda.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the state of the world that we're in at the moment. That little things can be, and there's such a huge. It's easy to punch down. It's easy to punch down, and it's easy to say you're protecting women's sports when you're just trying to villainize transgender people.
Bigoted. Yeah.
And then these people make no effort to actually ever learn the science or know about the science. They have a formed opinion, and that's, like I said, part of that world. You get stuck in that bubble of where you are now. There's a lot of information out there, but unless you go look, you're not going to find it. So they get caught in that bubble, and they just keep hearing what they want to hear, and people reinforce their own opinion, and it just becomes this bubble.
I'm Rob Thompson. Ooh, mindset.
About living life in a bubble and changing your mindset.
Well, as you begin to change your mindset, I think you break down knowledge. And when you break down knowledge, you have the ability to go to the next level. We're constantly fighting ourselves to think we know the answers. And if we know the answer, then we don't need to ask that question anymore. And your mindset will shrink as you think you know the answers to questions that, with a little exploration, would break that bubble. And you begin to grow when you no longer travel around knowing as if you understand everything that's happening. I'm Rob Thompson. You can always find what Richard Williams and I are up to via Skate ATL.
I guess sometimes even living in the city, you don't get the opportunity to just like slow down, smell the roses. I feel like a lot of times we're like walking on the road, or let's say we leave our home and we go for a walk. We're occupied with our devices or chatting to somebody else, in person or whatever. And it's never like a stroll, like a casual walk, looking at the birds and the bees and the butterflies fluttering around. And I feel like oftentimes we take advantage of that, the simple mercies, the ability to walk, the ability to breathe air without having any sort of pain or complications, the ability to see the beautiful things around us. We're so engrossed in our own lives and our own problems and our own situations that we're just like existing like robots, just marching around and prancing around. And where are we really going? So let's take this time just to be a little bit more mindful, and a little bit more present. So that's all for tonight.
Well, that's all for tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for joining the conversation. I love you. Season 4 will be here before you know it.
You remember back in the day when I used to talk about how I didn't want to live with anybody else?
Yeah, the house in the back?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that funny to you?
That is fucking hilarious, because sometimes I want to put my wife out and I just want a little spot for her to go in the back.
You're
but
recorded. You
she's
say this on the
yeah,
podcast?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. What's your name?
Because she knows it.
What's your name?
My name is Tammy.
Where do you work at?
I work at Barber Logic.
What's that?
That is the barbershop that I own. It's a luxury barbershop in downtown Atlanta. My wife will hear this and she'll say, hey, you should be inside working. Why are you talking shit about putting me in the back?
There you go. That's hilarious.
The tide of destiny has turned. The unexpected perfect conditions. Love and success. The tide of destiny has turned. Perfect conditions. Love and success. The tide of destiny has turned. Perfect conditions.